Hi everyone, in this section we will talk about immunity. After watching this video, you should be able to contrast host innate resistance with adaptive immunity. To establish an infection, an invading microorganism must first overcome many surface barriers such as skin, degradative enzymes, and mucus. Most pathogens must breach these barriers and reach underlying tissues to cause disease. Any microorganism that penetrates these barriers encounters two levels of host defenses: innate resistance mechanism and an adaptive immune response. The innate resistance mechanisms, also known as non-specific resistance and innate, non-specific or natural immunity, is the first line of defense against any foreign material, including microorganisms encountered by the host. The adaptive immune system of animals have three major functions. Firstly, to recognize anything that is foreign to the body. Secondly, to respond to this foreign material. And thirdly, to remember the foreign invader. The recognition response is highly specific. Let's take a look at the components of innate resistance. Firstly, skin and barrier structure. The barrier structure can be further classified into blood-brain barrier and blood-embryo barrier. Secondly, phagocytis and phagocytosis. Once the pathogen penetrates through the first defense, such as the barrier, host will the second polymorph nuclear leukocyte dendritic cell. Thirdly, inflammation. It is a reducing damage to the host. Fourthly, antibacterial. Many antibacterial substances within the tissue and body fluid. Complement and interference are two important components. Let's have a look at specific immunity. Specific immunity is a complement to the functions of phagocytis and other elements of the innate immune system. In contrast to innate immunity, specific immunity allows for a targeted response against a specific pathogen. Only vertebrates have specific immune response. Specific immunity can be classified into active immunity and passive immunity. Both of them can be realized through either natural or artificial approach. Active immunity results when exposure to a disease organism triggers the immune system to produce antibodies to that disease. Exposure to the disease organism can occur through infection with the actual disease or introduction of a killed or weakened form of the disease organism through vaccination. Passive immunity refers to a form of acquired immunity resulting from antibodies that are transmitted naturally through the placenta to a fetus, through the colostrum to an infant, or artificially by injection of antiserum for the treatment or prophylaxis. 4 characteristics can distinguish adaptive immunity from innate resistance. Firstly, discrimination between self and non-self. The adaptive immune system almost always responds selectively to non-self and produces responses tailored to protecting against that type stimulus. Secondly, diversity. The system is able to generate an enormous diversity of molecules such as cellular receptors and soluble proteins, including antibodies that recognize trillions of different foreign substances. Thirdly, specificity. Immunity is highly selective in that it can be directed against one particular pathogen or foreign substance. The immunity to one pathogen or substance usually does not confer immunity to others. Fourthly, memory. When re-exposed to the same pathogen or substance, the host reacts so quickly that there is usually no noticeable illness. By contrast, the reaction time for innate defenses is just as long for later exposure to a given antigen as it was for the initial one. Finally, let's take a look at the keywords in this section. Okay, that's all for this class.